So let us now discuss the angle relationship in circles. So we have theorem 6. So what does theorem 6 tell us? If two secants or chords intersect in the interior of a circle, then the measure of each angle formed is half the sum of the measures of its intercepted arcs. So let's now highlight, no? So these are the two chords. We have chord BC and chord AD intersecting at the center of the circle. So the intersection is point E. So we know that in theorem 6, when two chords intersect inside the circle, there is an angle that will be formed. Okay? So in here, we have angle 1. So if we want to get the measure of angle 1, so how do we get the measure of angle 1? So let us identify first the intercepted arc. So this is the intercepted arc of angle 1. Because angle 1 is vertical to this angle. This angle has an intercepted arc. And the intercepted arc is arc CD. So after identifying the intercepted arc, we are now ready to apply the theorem. So what is the measure of angle 1? It's always the measure of arc AB plus the measure of arc CD. And after you add the measures of the two arcs, sometimes these two arcs are known as inscribed arcs, no? But we can just say intercepted arcs to be simple. Okay. So you just add the measures of the two arcs, and then afterwards, you multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. So arc AB plus arc CD, then we divide by 2. Okay? So that's the measure of angle 1. So we have chords AD and BC intersecting at E. Again, the measure of angle 1 is add the two intercepted arcs and then divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. That is when the two chords or secants intersect inside the circle. All right. All right. So for theorem 8, so notice I skipped theorem 7. All right. You will know the reason later why I skipped theorem 7. So I started in theorem 6. Now I am in theorem 8. What is theorem 8? If a tangent and a secant or a chord, so it's not always a secant. Sometimes it is just a chord. So if a tangent and a secant or a chord intersect on a circle, when you say on, the preposition on means the point is on the curve. Intersect on a circle at the point of tangency, then the measure of the angle formed is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So we should learn how to identify the intercepted arc. So in this case, where is the intercepted arc? The intercepted arc is arc AB. Where is the angle? The angle when the secant, so I'll highlight first the secant. So this is your secant line. If you remove the arrowheads, that will become a chord. So that's why in the theorem it states that if a tangent and a secant or a chord. Okay. So when the secant or a chord and the tangent, where is the tangent segment here or tangent line? So let's highlight, this is your tangent line. The intersection is point B. The angle, the measure of angle formed is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So where is the angle here? So this is now the angle that we want. So we want the measure of angle ABC. So to get the measure of angle ABC, it's so simple. We will just get half of the measure of arc EB. So whatever is the measure of arc EB, you just divide it by 2. Divide it by 2 or multiply it by 1/2. So that's theorem 8. So for example, hypothetically, if this is, let's say, 60 degrees, an acute angle. So what is the measure of angle ABC? So angle ABC is 30 degrees. It's just 1/2 of 60 degrees, which is 30 degrees. That's theorem 8. Okay? So you may screenshot the slides if you want. All right? So that when you answer it later, the sample questions for written work, it's easy for you to go back to the previous theorem that we discussed. Okay. So theorem 7, 9, and 10 have this exactly the same concepts. It's always, recall that based on our discussion, this is the farther arc. Farther arc. I am highlighting now the farther arc. That's the farther arc. Now, where is the nearer arc? This is the nearer arc, this is the nearer arc, and this is the nearer arc. Notice that Theorem 7, Theorem 7, Theorem 9, and Theorem 10 have the same relationships. So if you are going to get the angle formed outside the circle, remember, when a tangent and a secant, so this is a tangent, tangent and a secant, or two tangents or two secants intersect outside the circle, what is the relationship? The measure of the angle formed is half the difference of the measures of the intercepted arcs. Meaning, when they intersect outside the circle, what shall we do? We just subtract the farther arc, subtract it by the nearer arc, and always divide by 2. So, it's always nearer arc, it's always farther arc minus nearer arc divided by 2. All right? So, it's so simple. The theorem is so simple. Farther arc minus nearer arc divided by 2. That is theorem 7, 9, and 10. That's why if you are going to familiarize yourselves with the theorems, or if you are going to memorize them, it's easy to memorize because theorem 7, 9, and 10 are just the same. They have the same concept. You just subtract farther arc minus nearer arc divided by 2. So whether it is a tangent and a secant, two tangents or two secants, the principle is exactly the same. All right? So if you are going to get the measure of angle 1, it's always measure of arc AD minus measure of arc BD divided by 2 or times 1/2. If you are going to get the measure of angle 2 when two tangents intersect outside the circle, it's always the measure of arc EHG, that's the farther arc, then minus the measure of EG, nearer arc, then always multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. Then, for the two secants intersecting outside the circle, it's always farther arc, this is the farther arc, then minus the nearer arc, and then you always multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2. So this is farther arc, and this one is the nearer arc. So in general, you can say farther arc minus nearer arc divided by 2. That's theorem 7, 9, and 10. All right. So segment relationship in circles for theorem 11, we have the chord-chord product theorem. So theorem 11 is also known as the chord-chord product theorem. If two chords intersect in the interior of a circle, when you say interior, we mean inside. Then the products of the length of the segments of the chords are equal. So in the figure, we have chords AB. So this is chord AB and chord CD. They are intersecting inside the circle and the intersection is point E. So what is the relationship? It's always AE. So AE, this one, multiplied by EB is equal to CE multiplied by ED. So it's so simple. So theorem 11 is the intersecting chord. When two chords intersect, also known as the chord-chord product theorem, If two chords intersect inside the circle, the product of the lengths of the segments of the two chords are always equal. So these are the lengths of the segments of the two chords, and they are always equal. So it's very simple. So let's now proceed with the next theorem. So the next theorem is also known as the secant-secant product theorem. So as you can see, we have two secants. What are the secants here? We have secant CE, we have secant AB. All right. So what does theorem 12 tell us? If two secants intersect in the exterior of the circle, when you say exterior, outside. So when they intersect outside the circle, then the product of the lengths of one secant segment, so we emphasize this in the classroom that what is the secant segment? This is the secant segment. This is a secant segment. So we have secant segment AE and secant segment CE. Okay. Then the product of the lengths of one secant segment and its external part. So if you are talking about secant segment AE, that's the whole secant segment, what is the external part? The external part is BE. So let me write here. This is the external part. If you talk about secant CE, remember this is your secant CE. Where is the external part? So the external part is segment DE. So this is your external part. Again, for secant segment AE, what is the external part? Segment BE. For secant segment CE, the external part is DE. So AE, let me label this one. AE is actually the whole secant segment. Okay, so that when you memorize it, it's easy. Whole secant segment multiplied by its external part is always equal to the whole secant segment multiplied by its external part. All right? So again, the external part that we are talking about here, so we have external part. External segment or external part, in this case, we have BE and DE are external parts of the secant segments. Again, if two secants intersect in the exterior of a circle, then the product of the lengths of one secant segment and its external part equals the product of the lengths of the other secant segment and its external part. So it's always the whole secant segment multiplied by its external part is always whole multiplied by its external part or its outside part, outside external. All right? So whole times external, whole times external. It's always like that. That's theorem 12. Secant product theorem. Okay. Theorem 13 is also known as the secant tangent product theorem. As you can see, we have the secant AC. This is the secant segment AC. And where is the tangent? This is the tangent. Tangent segment CD. If a secant, any tangent intersect in the exterior of a circle, then the product of the length of the secant segment and its external part is always equal to the length of the tangent segment squared or square of the tangent segment. So what is our mnemonics or clue? It's always the whole secant segment multiplied by its external part. For theorem 13, it is equal to the square of the tangent segment. It's equal to the square of the tangent segment. So you square the tangent segment, then equate it to the product of the length of the whole secant segment, then multiply by its external part. So again, this is the whole secant segment and the external part is here. So make sure that it is clear to you what is the difference between the whole secant segment and what is the external part. So it should be clear. Whole external. Whole times external is equal to the square of the tangent segment.